In July 16, 1945, the first nuclear bomb was detonated by the United States in New Mexico. This bomb was known as Little Boy. Little Boy was a powerful weapon that blasted 18.6 kilotons of power, and it easily destroyed 160 miles of land. After a big success with the weapon, the US decided to produce a lot more of these bombs. Bombs like these have potential to wipe out entire cities and kill millions of people. And during this time the US was at war with Japan because of Pearl Harbor. Japan and the United States had been at war for 4 years, and in August 6, Harry Truman decided to bring a speedy end to the war with nuclear weapons. President Truman later then informs the nation about the bombing of Japan.
We are now prepared to destroy more rapidly and completely every productive enterprise the Japanese have in any city. We shall destroy their docks, their factories, and their communications. Let there be no mistake. We shall completely destroy Japan's power to make war. It was to spare the Japanese people from utter destruction that the ultimatum of July the 26th was issued at Potsdam. Their leaders promptly rejected that ultimatum. If they do not now accept our terms, they may expect a rain of ruin from the air, the like of which has never been seen on this earth. Behind this air attack will follow sea and land forces in such numbers and power as they have not yet seen, and with the fighting skill of which they are already well aware.
And 3 days later the US would bomb Nagasaki and leave it in ruins. 50,000 plus people died to this nuclear attack. These bombings killed a lot of innocent people, and it made people suffer. Even though Japan had committed war crimes also, it can't be an excuse to kill hundreds of thousands of civilians that have nothing to do with the war. And later at September 2nd, Japan surrenders due to more threats of nuclear bombing.
This afternoon, a message from the Japanese government in reply to the message forwarded to that government by the Secretary of State on August 11th. I deem this reply a full acceptance of the Potsdam Declaration, which specifies the unconditional surrender of Japan. In the reply, there is no qualification. Arrangements are now being made for the formal signing of the surrender terms at the earliest possible moment. General Douglas MacArthur has been appointed the Supreme Allied Commander to receive the Japanese surrender. Great Britain, Russia, and China will be represented by high-ranking officers. Meantime, the Allied armed forces have been ordered to suspend offensive action. The proclamation of VJ Day must await upon the formal signing of the surrender terms by Japan.
After World War II, other countries stepped in and produced nuclear weapons, but only 2 years after World War II a second one was started called the Cold War. And the Cold War was the closest that we have ever gotten to a all-out nuclear war. The closest it got was at the Cuban Missile Crisis, where the Soviet Union had secretly hid a nuclear missile there, and John F. Kennedy soon had to address the nation.
Endorsed by the resolution of the Congress, I have directed that the following initial steps be taken immediately. To halt this offensive buildup, a strict quarantine on all offensive military equipment under shipment to Cuba is being initiated. All ships of any kind bound for Cuba, from whatever nation or port, will, if found to contain cargoes of offensive weapons, be turned back. It shall be the policy of this nation to regard any nuclear missile launched from Cuba against any nation in the Western Hemisphere as an attack by the Soviet Union on the United States, requiring a full retaliatory response upon the Soviet Union.
The Soviet Union intended to target the major cities in the United States, which would have resulted in the death of 800,000 people and cause a nuclear winter throughout the United States. The nuclear attack was cancelled when Nikita Khrushchev feared a nuclear war with the United States, because at the time both countries were not ready for a nuclear war. A nuclear war would have many disastrous after effects.
Today, every inhabitant of this planet must contemplate the day when this planet may no longer be habitable. Every man, woman, and child lives under a nuclear sword of Damocles, hanging by the slenderest of threads, capable of being cut at any moment by accident or miscalculation or by madness. The weapons of war must be abolished before they abolish us. Never have the nations of the world had so much to lose or so much to gain. Together we shall save our planet, or together we shall perish in its flames. Save it we can, and save it we must. And then shall we earn the eternal thanks of mankind, and as peacemakers, the eternal blessing of God.
Nuclear war is not necessary in any means. The Earth itself will be damaged by nuclear war and take decades to recover. Nuclear technology should not be used in a war, and the death of millions of innocents should never be an option.